JB here. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. August 10th, 2022. Going to talk really fast here. We have about 11 minutes, 15 seconds to the open on the, probably one of the more important CPI data days in recent memory. CPI data came in a little cooler than expectations. So I think this really puts the pressure on the August numbers, which we'll have in September. But for now, it looks like people saying, hey, maybe we're at a situation where we're at peak inflation. The Fed might be able to start to pull back on just 0.75% rate hikes till the end of the year. So I think that bodes well a little bit. The Fed will probably say, wow, our unprecedented tightening actions are finally having some kind of positive outcome in cooling off inflation. So it'll be interesting how the next couple of weeks play out, especially earnings are, they'll start to slow down next week. Not as many companies reporting the week after. So as the Q2 earnings season kind of rolls, starts to end. Not a lot of catalysts. We already had the Fed. We had the CPI data this morning. We'll get the PCE data. I don't know if that's gonna be next week. That'll probably be it. And then we're in the dog days of summer. So hopefully the SPY can find some support, get over 420, kind of hang there. There's no crazy reversal. And then I think we can churn here and have some playable opportunities, at least on some of these names that have rallied, kind of cooled off the last 3 or 4 sessions. Maybe those start to head to multi-week highs. So names, of course, I've talked about Wix Monday and Tuesday. GoDaddy had a great report last week. I thought maybe that Wix would also report a decent earnings. I was a little nervous with yesterday's action. S&P is down 4 days in a row. Is this the start of another pullback on the 410 and 400 on the SPY? Sure enough, what happens? Wix reports actually a decent quarter. I think it's 3 or 4 quarters in a row where Wix, which traditionally would issue conservative guidance, but it would be raised guidance. Then for the last 3 quarters, Wix lowered their guidance on their expectations. I think it was 3 quarters in a row, and now finally it looks like maybe their business is starting to bottom, and it could be the start of a next move back over $100. So certainly name I'm watching. I'm surprised it's not gapping up more than it is. It's $71 here, closed at 68.77. Could be a playable opportunity for some calls. Only monthly strikes. I didn't even see what the 80s closed at yesterday, but those would probably be the ones I'm looking at, the 80s or even the 85s. There's only August strikes. 85s closed 65 by 90. Maybe those are 50 cents at the open. Week and a half left on those strikes. Could look to get some of those depending on how much premium comes out of the calls. If the 80s are under $1, I might look to get those because I think even if it's just a relief bounce, there's an opportunity to play Wix for some upside. MITK hasn't done much since its post earnings move all the way up. I think the 1147 was the key area. Looks like maybe we're gonna get a move over that. Still have my later dated strikes. I'm probably not going to add anything here, but I think at some point this is a $15 stock, if not higher. So I'll continue to hold my MITK. TripAdvisor, what else to say about TripAdvisor? A name I've followed for many, many years now. Even I think before it got spin off, right after Expedia spun them off. And it's still one of those names that just boggles my mind that they're not able to monetize their huge traffic that the people who are going on vacation. TripAdvisor is one of those sites that they go to. And the fact that they can't monetize this just boggles my mind. But finally, after the founder CEO left last year, now there's new leadership. It looks like they're starting to execute a decent quarter last week, and I think it's gonna, maybe a chance to get to 27, 28 into next week. Still have some of my 2350 strikes and my August 26 calls, which I got back in June, which I was able to close them out on Monday. I'm probably gonna close the last of my 2350s out at the open, and then hold my 26s into next week. Because I don't even know what the short interest now. I haven't looked recently, but maybe it's a name that could just squeeze over $30. 12% short interest on TripAdvisor. So a great story. I mean, the tailwinds for the travel sector, it's huge right now. Summer, I think even into the fall, there's going to be those trends are going to continue. outside of Airbnb, which posted horrible results. But I think $28-30 on TripAdvisor. So I'm probably going to lock just to lock more profits in, because TripAdvisor's had had some issues sometimes with reversing gains. But it looks like this rally's for real for TripAdvisor. So I'm going to hold on to those. Other names, I'm looking for some possible lottos today. Spotify, just like last week. It seems like every time it gets near Thursday, Friday, Spotify rallies. They had a great earnings report as well. Stock all the way into the mid 120s before pulling back to start this week. People are looking at Spotify and they think maybe it's the business is not going to grow as fast, but it seems every time they report earnings, 25%, 30% top line growth, and it seems like they don't have many competitors. And there was news out last week that TikTok may be getting in that business of streaming music. Who knows? Obviously, that wouldn't bode well for Spotify, but it just shows, I think, that there's a huge addressable market, and Spotify is front and center in delivering for that. So I think it's a name that probably maybe Spotify trades 130, 135 in the next week or two. So I may look for some speculative calls on that one. And then last but not least is the biotech sector. And GBT, which was, I'd have to go look to see when it was one of my top 5 stocks. Maybe it was 2017, 2018. Sickle cell anemia. When I look at biotech names, it's a win-win when the company can provide a solution for an ailment that there's no solution for. And not only that, you can, as a trader, you can make money on it to the upside when hopefully the drug is has positive outcomes and things like that. So GBT is one of those names I've always followed just because sickle cell anemia is a big issue, right? So Pfizer acquired them for, I think it was $68.50. Missed out. I think I had GBT calls back in April and May. Maybe I had like the 35s or 40s. So unfortunately missed the buyout. But if you're starting to see a trend in biotech land where companies are starting to say, well, we don't want to miss out on a stock that was $30 now. Next week might be 40. Next week might be 50. Let's put our buyout offer in and get acquire some of these names that they've probably been watching for quite some time. Sage with the Biogen deal makes absolutely no sense to me. Why Biogen, which has to pay billions of dollars in royalties to Sage for their drug that eventually is going to be approved by the FDA, why would they not just acquire them and not have to use that money that you would have paid on royalties, acquire Sage, and bring them into the mix for Biogen? It doesn't make sense to me. But for now, I guess it looks like they're sitting on their hands. But I think at some point Sage trades into the 50s, so I might look for some calls on that one. My old friend Intercept, decent earnings last week. They're getting another AdCom with the FDA in regards to their NASH drugs. So that's a huge deal. Certainly does not price in any kind of approval by the FDA. And not only that, they have a decent amount of cash. So it's one of a lot of these names trade less than cash or at cash or just a little bit over cash, where it makes no sense how these stocks really haven't really taken off or been acquired by other companies. So Intercept, what's the other one? I think that's it for now. Edit, right? You take a look at gene editing, and that went on a tear back in 2020. At some point, these are going to start taking off as well. I think CRISPR had some bad updates yesterday. Oh, it's at $79 right now. Those could be some names I'm watching today. That's it, folks. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to the open. I'll try and get back on audio later. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.